Welcome to the Maher Report. This is Cheryl Maher. This is my co-host, Matt. How you doing?
Good, Cheryl. How are you doing?
Good. I'm doing okay.
I dig the glasses.
It's the glasses, yeah. A little different. Cheryl, the Maher Report is live on Manchester TV, channel 23, every Wednesday at 6 p.m. To call the show, 413-0223, area code 603. I've had a lot of people ask me how they can see the show. You can go to manchestertv.com and you can, upload the show. I put it on before I left, and I was watching Norm and Friends before I came. So, it's right there. You can get it right on the internet, so that, if you want to watch it, then just download it. I'm also re-aired Friday at 1, okay, Friday at 1, Sunday at 6 p.m., Monday at 8 a.m., and Tuesday 2:30 p.m. And you can also hear this show on IPMNation.com.
IPM Nation.
Oh, I'm sorry, IPM Nation.
Yes.
Tell me what IPM Nation is, because I want. I'm sure maybe the viewers know, but I want you to.
Yeah, it's an internet radio station. We carry all kinds of programming. Some of the stuff you see on TV 23. Actually, we also stream through IPMNation.com, like this show and Norm and Friends, Manchester. You can. There's all kinds of stuff you can download.
You've got political stuff on there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got a full. Because I was looking at some of the things you've got going on.
Yep.
So yeah, good.
Yeah,
good,
all kinds of cool stuff on there. Politics, other comedy, music.
Yeah, so pick it up. I've only been on there once, so I can't.
Yeah.
I have to admit that my time isn't. Somebody tells me something, I'm like, good for you.
Yeah,
and
no,
I
I
don't run
understand.
out going, all right, I gotta go check this out, unless I really want to know what it is.
Right.
I mean, in the sense of doing a show or something like that.
Yeah,
But
yeah, I understand.
I'm glad that you put that out there, that's what you do. So,
Absolutely. Thank you.
So what'd you do for the 4th?
I really didn't do anything too exciting. I just worked. I just got caught. It was a good opportunity for me to catch up on a lot of work, which involves, sitting at a computer and doing my thing. But I didn't really do anything exciting. Didn't have any big events or anything. So.
Well, I'll tell you, we went up to Ticonderoga, New York.
Oh, very nice.
Where the Revolutionary War happened.
Yeah.
My boyfriend is a resident from there. That's where he grew up, and I can tell you that it was like walking on sacred ground, being at the fort. And then we went over to Mount Defiance, and it was just so neat just to know that this is where the Revolutionary War happened,
right?
And or started, I should say.
Yeah.
And it was so neat. George Washington was there, so they had a statement that he made, and we saw his dual guns in the glass case. Those must be worth so much money.
Oh, absolutely. I can imagine,
Yeah, it was really, really cool. And then the great thing I love about this town, and a lot of people are like, oh yeah, I don't live in Ticonderoga, I got to get out of here. And it's because everybody knows everybody. I think there's maybe 9,000 people that live there.
Okay.
But it's one of those small towns where everyone just takes care of each other. And,
that's cool.
That's how I envision America. Like, I got to tell you that there was a Playboy bunny that had shown up there for whatever, her PR. She knew someone that lived there, so she showed up. And what happened was the town council said if she's going to be in the parade, she has to wear an evening gown. And, because they're so, they don't want any young kids seeing a Playboy bunny coming down from Playboy, and it was just kind of that wholesome. Like I look around, I'm like, oh, I just love this town because it's so wholesome and good. And we went to go get pizza one night, and there was an argument that broke down on the street. 2 girls were arguing about something, I don't know what it was. Every cop in that town showed up. And, I mean,
really?
And I'm thinking, if this is the kind of crime they have, not so bad.
Yeah.
I mean, not so bad to be, just these 2 girls arguing on the street. And I'm not kidding. Every cop from everywhere just showed up, a guy on a bicycle.
Were they drunk? Was it like at night outside of a bar?
No, it was in the afternoon. I don't
really?
know what was going on, but there was some sort of argument. And I was like, well, the law enforcement, if this is what they have to deal with, then God bless them, because, there's so much more that goes on in towns. And, then people get tired of the police, and they hate the police. I mean, we've got total anarchy going on with lawmakers and law enforcers, because nobody trusts the police anymore, Matt. And I honestly don't blame them.
Yeah.
And it goes back to like the Anthony case, and I don't want to talk much about that because I think it's being talked to death. Yeah. But are we innocent until proven guilty? Or the media, as far as I'm concerned, hung this girl out to dry. She was guilty until proven guilty until proven innocent.
Oh, yeah.
And regardless what my views are on it, you can go to my Facebook and find out what my views are on this. But the point is there was a girl that was killed in Massachusetts last week by her boyfriend, slit her throat. He's going off to jail, and this girl's dead. you know, you didn't see media coverage on this.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
we're going into this case that's 3 years old, and we get it. You know, like, the media is just going to run this into the ground.
Yeah, they become fixated on it.
Yeah, and it's just doom, da-doom,
Yeah.
da-doom. I get tired of it because I want to hear other things that are going on in the world.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if you feel the same way, but it's just...
Yeah, I don't get hooked on that stuff. I started paying attention at the end. You know what I
Okay,
mean? Like,
yeah,
I was late to the party. Like, when they got to the point where
late to the party.
Yeah, when they got to the point where they were wrapping up the trial, you know, and they were giving their closing summation. That's when I really started paying attention.
Okay.
Prior to that, I mean, I was aware of it because you can't avoid it. You know, it's out there, and like you were saying, you know, the media becomes, you know what it is? It's a 24-hour news cycle.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, they all have all this time to fill.
Yeah, and
So-
then they've got the legal analyst in
Right.
there and stuff. It's like, I could legally analyze this. Call me. Are you
Right.
kidding me?
Yeah.
So, anyway. But, so yeah, that was a good 4th of July. And we got back yesterday afternoon, so I feel like I'm just starting a work day today. Because we left Friday afternoon, got back yesterday afternoon. So it's like Wednesday, the weekend is now 2 days away. And
Right.
like yourself, I'm way behind in my work.
Yeah.
I've got deadlines that I have to get done.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know.
Yeah, I know
So,
how it is.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. And the vacation came into play. So
Yeah.
anyway, I wanted to tell. There was a lady that called in last week. Do you remember her? She was on Social Security. She had, I don't know, maybe hopefully she'll call in today. And by the way, if you want to call, it's 413-0223 in Manchester, area code 603. But she said something about her leg, that she wanted to get back to work, but she
Right.
needed a knee operation. I mean, she was going everywhere.
Yeah,
Understood.
yeah.
We're trying to narrow her in.
Yeah.
But basically, what she wanted was a knee operation so she could get back to work. That's what I heard. I don't know if you heard the same thing.
Yeah.
But so what I did is I called up to Medicaid today up at Concord, and I talked to a woman named Kelly, and she was very, very nice. And I just said, you know, I'm just calling because we got this phone call, and I just want to help this woman out in any way I can. And she just basically said there's nothing that they can do until they have, you know, the doctor's recommendation for a surgery. So I'm going to give my humble opinion of what this woman should do, and I hope she's listening or watching. Go to your doctor and have him examine you again, or get a written letter stating why you're not getting surgery. Anything in writing that says what's going on, why you're on all the meds, whatever. And then you're going to have to advocate for yourself and go either to another doctor or, you know, try to just work it out with that doctor. So
Yeah.
that would be the only thing that I can suggest to this lady, that she needs to just take the bull by the horns and go for it, find out. You know, there's nothing like being all kinds of on medication and feeling drugged out all the time. And that's
yeah.
kind of what the feeling I was getting from her, is she was just feeling that. And
Yeah.
doctors overprescribe. We know
Oh,
that.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Are you
Well, they're
kidding?
in bed with the drug companies, you know.
Oh, yeah.
It's all designed to keep us kind of doped up and, you know,
Yeah.
keep that sector of the economy going. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It's pretty bad. So anyway, and then I was doing some research on welfare and stuff, and to date, every year, this is what we pay in $700 billion for Social Security. That's a yearly bill that we have in America. $700 billion for Social Security. That's not New Hampshire. $451 billion for Medicaid.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm thinking, I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, we look at we were watching did you ever watch the ticker on Fox News or CNN of the ticker of how much the debt
sure.
is,
Yeah.
the trillions
Yeah.
of dollars?
Yeah.
So I did this, all right. We are in debt in this country $15 trillion. That's to date. Now, it probably has gone up a few 100,000 since
yeah.
this morning, since I wrote this number down.
Yeah.
All right. Now, when Obama took office, it was 9.18 trillion. That was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So he has almost doubled our deficit. Doubled. So it took us 200 years, since 1776, our debt, to get to 15 trillion. Thank you. $15 trillion. With Obama, it took him. Or no, I'm sorry. It took us $200 years to get to. I did this whole thing. 200 years to get to 9.18 trillion, and with Obama, he's almost doubled it in 3 years. And I'm thinking, do people not understand that this is what the left has in store, and I really hate to say that because I don't think all left wing understand this concept. But when there's government intrusion, and what I mean by that is, if you go on Medicaid, when I talked to Kelly today, I said, what are the requirements for Medicaid? Because remember we were talking like, oh, you have to file for Social Security, and then they go through a board up and, all the paperwork and everything that goes on. And she said the only people that are qualified for Medicaid, a person that's pregnant, over 65, and disabled.
Yeah.
So, and of course the financial requirements.
Right.
And I thought, okay, so a person, let's just say a family, needs medical insurance, right? I mean, sometimes families need medical insurance because of where they're at. Well, they can't get it unless there's a disability.
Right.
They've got different programs that you can call insurance companies, and if you have because I've done this, so I know the routine. You call like an insurance company, and they'll tell you, well, if you have a pre-existing condition,
then
you have to pay for 9 months, and then we'll cover anything to do with that pre-existing, which is fine because I understand insurance companies are there to make money. But when we're talking about a government-run program, and Obama's up there saying, oh, everybody needs to have health care, the world needs, our country has to have universal health care, and I look at that and I go, it just doesn't make sense to me. What you're doing is actually disabling people. If I go to the Medicaid office, you're disabling me by saying, okay, now you have to apply for Social Security. In order to get any help, you have to be disabled.
Yeah.
So it's keeping people down. And the thing that's bothersome to me is, do the people that are on Medicaid, Social Security, welfare, do they realize that they are being put into a vicious cycle of being owned by the government? And I'm going to ask that question. Do you viewers who are on services or on benefits, do you understand that you are now under government control? That's socialism.
Now you're talking about as it relates to healthcare?
As it relates to healthcare, food stamps, any of them.
Yeah.
It all goes down to you are now under government control. They have your Social Security number. They will go and they investigate everything about you. Of course, people lie all the time because we've made liars out of the system because they want food stamps, so they're going to go lie.
You know what?
So this is just my,
Yeah, and healthcare is a huge part of it. You know what I would have liked to have, as far as the healthcare issue specifically, I would have loved to have seen comprehensive, comprehensive healthcare reform in this country. But I would have. What's frustrating to me is, I agree with the Democrats. I agree with the left that something had to be done, that there had to be change. Because I believe every American should be eligible for health care. But I also agree with the Republicans as far as how they wanted to do it. Let the free market take care of it. Remove the barriers. You should be able to go online and shop around for a health care plan just like you would for car insurance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the cost of it would drop like a stone. What's frustrating to me, though, is because I'm neither left or right. I'm basically a centrist.
You're independent.
I'm an independent.
Yeah.
And what's so frustrating to me is I love the what would be the Republican version of healthcare reform.
Yeah.
But we would never see it in this country because, with a couple of exceptions like Mitt Romney, Republicans, the only time they're interested in even talking about healthcare reform is when the Democrats push for their socialized version of it.
Yeah,
so
I would agree.
It's a catch-22. I want the Republican version of healthcare reform. I think that would work. But we can't have it because they don't even want to talk about it unless we get something like Obamacare shoved down our throats. And now we're stuck with that.
And you know
you
what?
can't win.
In 2014, Obamacare is going to start in New Hampshire, and I'm not going to get into that. That's a whole other show. We could do Obamacare.
Right. Oh, I know.
And what the procedures are and the guidelines, and you are under the government's thumb.
Oh,
and I'll
absolutely.
tell you that even when I drive down the street and I see cameras, that bothers me.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you,
you're going to see that more and more in a lot of cities.
But it feels like it's an intrusion of my privacy.
Oh, yeah.
Like I was in Arizona with my father, and he gets up every morning and he does his thing. He goes to Dunkin' Donuts and he goes to McDonald's. Sometimes he just does his little routine. And I was pointing out to him when I was there a few months ago. I said, Dad, look, cameras at every street light. He's like, well, I didn't know that.
Big brother is watching.
And so we were kind of laughing with him. We're like, yeah, the police know exactly where you are every morning, Richard. You are here, here. They know you're not a problem. You are just...
Yeah. What city is that?
Gilbert, Arizona.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where I was for
Yeah.
a few months because of my health. But
Yeah.
came out of it feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
Lots of love will help someone
Yeah.
feel better.
Absolutely.
So
In a warm climate.
in a warm climate, absolutely.
Yeah.
This winter here was horrible.
Yeah,
So, yeah. So anyway, I just wanted that lady to know that I did make that phone call today. And I would just say, and I'm going to say this again, the state legislators, I have asked the question in a Republican forum that I'm in on Facebook. I said, what would you do with domestic violence? Because the funds are being cut off. We know that from bridges over in Nashua and Milford.
Okay.
We know these things are being cut off. So what are you guys going to do? And you're right. We don't hear anything from Republicans of what they're going to do for the for these social issues.
Right.
And I don't think that they don't know what to do. I don't think that they want to talk about it because then they get slammed from the left.
Right.
And if you talk to a lot of left people, unless they're like, sorry, I always quote this woman, Hillary Clinton, honestly, it takes a village is like the worst thing that ever happened to our country. I don't believe in it takes a village because I'll tell you what, look around, Matt. These little towns, Manchester,
Yeah.
do you see anybody taking care of each other?
No.
No, nobody cares.
Right.
They go to the welfare office, they get their check, they go home, they do whatever they do. They're bitching about their neighbor. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that.
Yeah.
Nobody really cares anymore. And that's not what I believe America was set up to be.
Right.
I don't believe that.
Right.
And I just see America like where I was at this weekend in
Yeah.
Ticonderoga, New York,
Yeah.
But I don't know, we've got, all these different causes going on. Well, what about the cause to get people off of welfare?
Mm-hmm.
To get them, if people really wanted to be off of welfare, they would do it. They would do it.
Yeah, they get stuck in the system, they get complacent.
Yeah. And I'll tell you
Absolutely.
that the economy suffers because we keep giving.
Mm-hmm.
It suffers because if people, let me tell you how I think about a lot of people that feel bad or shame because they didn't go to college and maybe they got their GED. I'll tell you what, these are probably the most artistic people you'd ever want to meet.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no reason why they can't use those gifts
Right.
that they have to make a living. And they all know it.
Right.
But they feel like, well, I'm in the system and I can't make any more money than this and I'm capped here. And
Yeah.
so it's just a vicious cycle.
Yeah.
You don't have to go to college to be successful.
Right.
You don't.
Absolutely.
I know so many people,
Of course,
the
yeah.
entrepreneurs that didn't go to college.
Yeah.
Because coming to America, this is the melting pot.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I
anyway,
agree.
You
I
agree with that?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. I thought we were going to have a debate about that, but
No, I agree. You haven't said anything. I don't know, the Hillary Clinton thing, it might be a little tough on her, but whatever.
I am tough on her, and I'm not going to go into that.
No,
But
I'm sorry. I haven't read the book. In fairness, the book she wrote.
I just think that it takes a village for me is the town sticking together, knowing what's going on with each individual person. I lived in Derry for years, and there's about 70,000 people there now. People don't know who each other are.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
the only people that know you are the ones that are from the old school. And I married
Yeah.
a Derryite way back when, so I kind of knew a lot of people in Derry. But there's a lot of people that move up from Massachusetts
sure,
and all
yeah.
over. Nobody knows anybody.
It's kind of a
anymore.
commuter
Nobody-
town.
Oh yeah, nobody cares.
Yeah.
And I think
yeah.
that's sad.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Because I don't see America. I see America like 4th of July. The 4th of July, we're waving flags
Yeah.
and doing all that. I don't see that.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad.
You
That
think-
patriotism.
Do you think part of that's a Northeastern thing? Because seriously, anywhere else in the country that I've been, people are friendlier to strangers than they are here.
True that. Yeah, I would admit that is true. That's true.
It bums me out.
Does it?
Yeah, I don't like it when I walk down the street and I, say hi to somebody, because I'm a friendly guy, hey, how you doing? And they just, they either grumble at me or they look at me frightened like, oh my God, a complete stranger just said hello to me. What do I do?
Yeah.
It's like, come on, just be friendly.
I'll tell you what. My mom and dad are from Boston, and when they moved us to Utah, it was 1971, so I was about 2 years old.
Yeah.
And everybody out there is friendly.
Yeah.
You go to the grocery store and you bag your own groceries and you talk to the clerk, and it's a lot slower and
Yeah.
how are you kind of thing going on. And of course the hair is still the Utah hair, but that's all right. But anyway, and then we moved out here when I was 17, and my dad was used to the happy-go-lucky people
Yeah.
out west. So we moved out here, and I remember that we were here about 2 weeks maybe, and we walked into a Dunkin' Donuts up here in Manchester, and this girl said, "Hi, how can I help you?" And my dad looks at her, and she says, and he goes, can I shake your hand? You're the first person that smiled at me when I've asked for coffee.
Really?
I mean, it was so funny because you just went from west to east.
Yeah.
And the culture of people is, don't talk to me unless I know you.
Exactly.
Stay away. And
Yep.
it's hard to reach in there. And so I kind of feel like I've had both sides of feeling very friendly and open, but people in the east can take that kind of stuff wrong.
Yeah.
Because they're like, what is she talking about? Like, why is she so friendly? What does she want?
Yeah, I know. It's frustrating, isn't it?
Are you from out here? Are you born here?
Yeah, I was raised here, but when I was a kid, I spent the summers in the Midwest with my family. That's where my mother is from. She's from Chicago originally. So when my parents split, she moved back there, and I'd spend the summers out there. And I've been down south as well, and I've been to different parts of the country, and I figured out pretty quick that we're just not nice to strangers here, and I don't understand why it has to be that way.
But you know what? I wouldn't live anywhere else because I love the culture here. I love the fact that, in Boston we have Charlestown, where there's the Italians. And then
there's
we
a
have
lot to love
the
here.
Irish,
Yeah.
and then we've got the whatever.
Yeah.
We want to get into all the different nationalities.
Yeah.
That's fine. But that's how it's segregated.
Right.
And I kind of think it's neat.
I'm not knocking the North. I mean, that's one thing I don't like. There's a lot of things I love about it here, which is why I stay. I love the economy here. There's nowhere I'd rather be in a recession than New Hampshire.
Really?
Our unemployment rate's half the national average. Oh, absolutely. The way we weather recessions here is phenomenal. I think the only one with a lower unemployment rate is Wyoming.
Really? And that's a Republican state.
Is it? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, that's right. I think
Yes.
I knew that. Who's the governor there? Do you remember?
I do not remember.
Because I remember hearing a story about him. But point being, I mean, this is a great place to be during a tough economy.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to just pull out a couple of things that I've read up on, and we don't have any calls yet. So if you want to call in, we're talking about welfare and how can people get off of welfare, and if you need any assistance with that, please give us a call, 413-0223. Because remember, the money, and it's so funny because they say, it doesn't cost me anything. It's costing somebody money.
Right.
It's costing our taxes. So when we say something is for nothing or nothing is for something, somebody is paying your ticket.
Absolutely.
And the other thing I found with Medicaid, and I'm just kind of going off my brain right here, but with Medicaid for people that are not citizens, this is interesting. If you meet all the criteria for any medical assistance program, but you are a non-citizen, emergency Medicaid may be available to cover some emergency services, including labor and delivery, regardless of your immigration status. Social Security numbers are not needed to apply. Depending on the medical assistance program for which you are applying, there may be a resource limit. I find this interesting because if you think about emergency care, if somebody doesn't have insurance, they're going to go to the emergency room to get care for an ear infection or a sinus infection. It's not something, or they're not going to call their doctor because they don't have money to pay the doctor.
Exactly.
So they're going to go to the ER and they're going to walk out and have all these bills and not pay them.
Yep.
And I just find it funny that instead of doing prevention, instead of helping those families or individuals that maybe have that low income, give them some, if they meet that financial threshold or whatever, give them medical insurance, and then you're not costing ERs more.
Right.
I mean, it's just this vicious cycle.
Yeah.
And it just does not make sense to me, Matt. I honestly, it just doesn't make sense. So, I read that and I thought, okay, here we go with the illegal immigrants being able to get services.
Well, is that why they don't, because that stuck out to me, that you don't need a Social Security number.
Correct, you don't
So
need
I
a
assume
Social
that's
Security
why
number.
if you're
So,
here illegally.
this to me is outrageous, that being a citizen, and there's so many of us in this state, I'm just going to talk about this state, that need medical insurance, and we have that low income, or people that have low income need that.
Yeah.
But because you're not disabled, we can't give it to you, sorry. But an illegal immigrant can get it.
Right.
And that's what we go into the entitlement programs. What does that mean? I looked it up today. Tell me what you think of the entitlement programs means. I thought this was really funny.
Well, I know what it means. It's programs that because you pay your taxes, it's things that you're theoretically entitled to as an American.
Like what?
Like Social Security, like Medicaid, like unemployment insurance.
Okay.
Things like that.
So an entitlement is a guarantee of access to benefits based on established rights or by legislation. A right is itself an entitlement associated with a moral or social principle. Such then an entitlement is a provision made in accordance with legal framework of a society. Typically, entitlements are laws based on concepts of principles, rights, which are themselves based in concepts of social equity, equality, or enfranchisement. We talked about disenfranchisement. Yeah, we talked about that. So then, you know, this is Wikipedia that I looked this up on because I trust the encyclopedia there. The funny thing is on the same link, narcissism came up.
That is funny.
So we talk about the entitlement, you know, like they have Generation X, however that works. I don't even know what I am. I was born in '69, so what does that make me?
Yeah.
Is that Generation X?
That's Generation X, I think.
Okay,
yeah.
and then they have whatever generation.
Generation Y was
Generation
next,
Y, is that you?
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
You
And then I don't know what the current generation is called.
I think it's the entitlement generation.
Probably.
I'm really thinking it's the entitlement generation because, you know, when you read through this, it's everywhere you look on TV. Well, I'm entitled to this, and I'm entitled to that, and it's this. I am entitled to this and that and that. Well, why? Why do you feel that you're entitled?
You know what the theory is about?
Yeah, I'd like to
this
know that.
generation of narcissism is things like MySpace and Facebook.
Well, yeah.
I mean, that's probably a big cause of it because people get these, and I'm not knocking MySpace and Facebook because they're useful for.
Where's MySpace?
They're
Whatever
useful for
happened to
marketing.
MySpace?
Yeah, I don't know. It's still out there, but I don't think anyone uses it anymore. But except for spamming. But these things make everyone feel like oh, I can create this page and now I'm special.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of fuels it. I mean, I think there's other things too. I mean, you see some of the programming on MTV. You ever see that show My Super Sweet 16?
No.
It's these rich 16-year-old girls who, you know, their parents throw them this big party, and it's a half-hour show about their Sweet 16 party. And the 16-year-old girls that are on the show, they're always just very evil. I mean, just really, you just want to slap them. I'm not condoning slapping anybody.
Did you see Mean Girls?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
so
It's that
that's
kind of
thing,
those kind of people.
Yeah.
So it's kind of and I think it's just getting worse all the time.
I think it is too. I
Yeah.
think the entitlement, kids don't know how to work anymore. They don't know how to count back change.
Yep. They don't know how to communicate.
They don't know how to communicate. Everything's on those text messaging thing. And I'll tell you that I had one of those iPhones, whatever those, you know, like you tap it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I have no idea how to work it.
Oh, really?
We traded it in, and now I've got this nice little phone that you text and call, and
Yeah.
that's all I need to know.
There you go.
But I don't have any, you know, I've sat at the dinner table watching people sit and text message, and it's rude.
It is rude.
It's very rude.
Yep.
And I think that that people need to take a step back and go, you know what, you don't have to answer that right now.
Right.
It's not important.
Exactly.
I'm sitting here with you, and I don't have to answer you.
Exactly.
It's not that important unless it's an emergency.
Yeah.
And I think that's been forgotten.
Oh,
You know, because
absolutely.
we want everything right now, right fast, instead of working for it.
Instant gratification.
Yeah, and let me say that I know that there are success stories from the welfare program. I just want you to know
Sure.
that. Don't think that I think that none of it's successful.
Right.
The problem is I can't get any Republican to talk about it or a Democrat. They don't want to say this is why they, you know, have this whole other board for medicine and why you have to be disabled to get Medicaid. Nobody will give me that policy. Why?
Yeah.
Who passed this law to make this okay? It does not make sense to me.
Yeah.
In common sense, if it doesn't make sense, then why do we have it?
Right.
Just to create jobs for government workers?
I think that's probably a big part of it, yes.
Yeah, and then we're owned by the government even more,
Yeah,
which
absolutely.
is not what I'm in favor of.
Absolutely.
So, yes, let me just go here, talking about, food stamp program. The food stamp program provides monthly benefits to low-income individuals and families to help purchase food. Eligibility for this program will depend on your income, resources, and expenses. The amount of your food stamp benefit depends on your household size. So, resource limits $2,000 for most. So I guess that would depend on your family size, because I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure that they're not giving out that kind of money to a family of 3. You know,
Right.
that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
But the thing that I think people don't understand is when you go to the welfare office, and if you need help, the resources and your expenses, if you have a home that you own, then it's possible you won't get help. That's the downfall of this.
Really?
Yeah, because it has to do with your resources. If you have a 19, or let's say a 2005 car, they're going to look at the value of that. So it's not something you just go in and say, oh, this is my gross monthly income. They want to know what assets you have.
Right.
Do you own this? Do you have any stocks anywhere? And when people are looking for help, that's where the downfall happens.
Yeah.
It's almost like if you have nothing, we're going to give it to you. If you have absolutely nothing, we're going to give it to you.
Right.
And then you're locked into the system.
Yeah.
And that's the sad part.
Yeah.
So, now this I thought was interesting. There's a New Hampshire Child Care Scholarship. This program helps low-income families pay for child care while the adult is working, looking for work, or attending job-related training or educational activities. The rate of assistance depends on the family's monthly gross income, household size, and the age of the child. And it says this program has no resource limit. And I was reading this, I was thinking, a lot of people that I know may have to put their children in daycare, and I'm not sure if they know that this is available to them, especially single moms or single fathers that may need a scholarship. But I would really like to know what their criteria or guidelines are to receive a scholarship. It says this program has no resource limit. I would like to know what the guidelines are for them to determine if you have if you can get a scholarship.
Right.
I
didn't know that existed.
I didn't know it existed either. That's why I'm reading it, because I thought, you know what, it says there's no resource limit, but what is the criteria, what are the guidelines to get this, to help you? I mean, there's single moms and single dads everywhere that have to work.
Oh, yeah.
Daycare is so expensive, so if this is something that you can do, go for it.
Right.
Financial assistance to needy families. This is the FANF program. And this program offers cash and medical benefits to low-income families with dependent children under age 18 or up to age 20 if they are a full-time high school student. One or both parents must be disabled, deceased, or absent from the household. Do you understand why there's so much lying going on?
Mm-hmm.
You're telling me that as long as I say it's me and the 3 kids, but I'm not going to tell them I'm living with my boyfriend, or you're not going to tell them.
Right.
So you've just created a situation where I'm going to lie.
Mm-hmm.
Why would I tell them that my boyfriend's living with me, or why would I tell them my girlfriend's living with me? Why?
Right.
They're not going to give me what I need, so I'm going to lie. And
you're not likely to get caught.
And you're not likely to get caught
it's not
because
like
there's
someone's
no task force to stop welfare fraud.
There's
you
no
know?
accountability.
We've got task force for women, and we've got task force for this and task force for that. Where's the task force to stop the fraud in the welfare system that can save New Hampshire taxes?
Right.
Really, that tax money can go towards education or something that's more that we need help with.
Yeah.
My opinion. And by the way, we're going to go over education the next couple weeks. That's
Oh, okay, good.
We're going to be talking education. We're going to talk about the union.
Mm-hmm.
Are you aware that there is a $10, every teacher has to pay $10 towards the Obama, it's coming to me, the Obama campaign. It's on the news.
Really?
This is real.
I didn't know that, but I'm not surprised.
If I was a teacher, I would walk off the job.
Yeah.
I honestly would. Like, I have no tolerance for anybody telling me how I'm going to spend my money, what I'm going to do. I have no tolerance for it. That is government intrusion. All of our teachers in New Hampshire now have to put $10 a year away for Obama's campaign. What if they don't want Obama to be the president?
Yeah, it's not right. I'm not surprised because I've always heard stories like that about that with unions, because unions, obviously Democrats tend to support unions, and a lot of Republicans don't. Some do, or they're indifferent. But so I'm not surprised to hear that.
I'm not surprised. I was actually surprised.
Were you?
I was surprised because I was like, are you kidding me? And we have a controversy going on in this state about right to work. The reason the Republicans want the right to work to go through is because of these reasons, because you are owned by the union.
Right.
That's the reason. They're trying to give us freedom. I mean, you work on your own, is that right?
Correct, yeah.
Okay. You're self-employed. You do what you're going to do. You don't owe anybody anything. You don't have to pay a union due.
Right.
And then if you did pay the union due, guess what will happen to you? You are in their network.
Right.
And I understand the firefighters and the teachers and the police officers and all their problems with this, because I get that it's about their job security, but stand up and be an American.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, stand up and say, hey, I'm not going to be owned by anybody.
Right.
You know,
Right.
form your own union. I don't know.
Right.
That's the way why we live in America.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It's just my opinion. Just, you know, what is this? And I can't get past the fact that nobody sees that.
Now, is that part of their dues, or is this a separate thing on top of their dues?
$10 is been added to their dues.
Oh, okay.
As far as I could be wrong. Please
Yeah.
don't, nobody inbox me and say you're wrong, because I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure
Right.
it's either part of their dues or it's another due.
Okay.
So, okay, so New Hampshire Healthy Kids. This is for children, obviously, 18 and younger. It provides medical assistance for children only at little or no cost to the family. Healthy Kids consists of 2 programs. Healthy Kids Gold is a Medicaid program that provides a full range of health and dental service at no cost to families. And that's the thing that gets me, at no cost to families. There is a cost. Taxpayers
Right.
are paying the cost. So every time you read one of these, these things you get from getting services, there is a cost. And
Right.
remember that the cost is coming out of taxpayers' money. And if you think you're entitled, well, you know what? I would like you to then take your money and give it to your next door neighbor and say, you know what? You're entitled to this.
Right.
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
Okay? And then medical coverage for pregnant women. This program provides medical coverage during pregnancy and 60 days postpartum at little or no cost to you. There you go again.
Yep.
At little or no cost to you.
That's the theme.
Yeah, this is the theme of how it works.
Yeah.
Eligibility for this program is based on you and your spouse grossly monthly income, and this program has no resource limit. Wow.
Another one.
Another one. Well, let's, maybe we need to find out more about that. State supplement programs, this would be provide cash and medical assistance to certain needy New Hampshire residents that are 65 or older. And please don't think that I am speaking specifically. I'm speaking generally to the viewers, to the public, about how the system works. And if you're one of those people that is not really telling the truth or possibly could be working, or you've got an idea for a business, then you know what? Go for it and get your butt off of the program of welfare.
Yeah.
and make your stay in this world. Make your mark in this world, because you're going to have people that are proud of you, you're going to have your children proud of you, and it just goes on and on.
Yeah.
There's just no reason to, I just get my money.
Right.
I get my food stamps. So, all right, Medicaid for employed adults with disabilities. MEAD provides medical coverage to disabled working adults between the ages of 18 and 64. The income and resource limits for the MEAD program are higher than our programs and change every year. Some MEAD individuals must pay a monthly premium for medical coverage.
So there's a cost.
Yeah, there is a cost, but they're also disabled.
Right.
So you're crippling them even more. They're disabled, and now they've got to pay for MEAD because maybe they work part-time. I have no idea, but it just sounds like a wild goose chase.
Yeah, it does.
I'm one of those people that likes A, B, and C. That's it. Boom, 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 boom. We start complicating everything and doing these explanations. No cost to you. Really, there's no cost to me. Okay, it's cost to somebody else. All right, if you want to call in, number is 413-0223.
Area code 603. If
Area
you're
code 603.
watching us online outside of the area.
Yep.
Yeah, the phone's been quiet.
I think it's because it's so nice outside.
Probably.
There wasn't hardly anyone on Facebook earlier, that narcissistic place that we all go to.
Yes,
there
yes.
wasn't hardly anyone up on Facebook, so
Yeah.
I think it's the weather.
The weather makes people less narcissistic. They want to hang out outside.
Yeah, they want to go to the beach now.
But they're all at the beach texting and
Yeah, and that's narcissism in itself, because they can't have a conversation with anyone, look someone in the eye.
right.
I don't like it when somebody can't look me in the eye.
Really?
I have a hard time with that. It's just me.
Yeah.
Just me. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. All right, and the Medicare Savings Program helps certain individuals with the cost of the monthly Medicare premium. So I would assume that this is going into 65 and older, and I haven't much looked into this, but I know that my mom and dad are on Medicare and Medicaid and the whole thing of Social Security. And
You're going to see a lot more of that now with all the baby boomers retiring.
oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's going to be a flood.
We're talking $14 trillion this morning on the clicker, and they're down there in Washington bickering about this. I don't know where it's going to give, Matt.
Well, the debt ceiling is going to have to be raised or we default on everything, so
And then what do we do?
We have to, I don't know. Something's got to get cut somewhere. You know, all these pork barrel programs have to go away.
What do you mean by that?
Well, the what's the term? When you have I forget what the term is. When you have earmarks.
Okay.
You know, when you have a certain amount of money that has to go to a state for a particular project.
Oh, okay. Right.
Which isn't always infrastructure. Sometimes it's something that we don't necessarily need.
Yep.
You know,
and
that
the money's
that
there,
has to
it's just
stop.
sitting there for whatever reason.
Right.
Yeah.
But the system is so broken because if you're a senator or a congressman from a certain state, you want those earmarks for your state because you have to look like you're doing something for your constituents.
That would be true, I think, on some politicians, but I'm wondering if how many Republicans feel that way. Because we have the 10th Amendment, separation of the state to the federal government. And we're going to have Dan Canna from the 10th Amendment Center in Concord. Will be in about 5 weeks. We're going to have him calling in. He moved to another state, and he's wrote a brief, and you know his whole thing is on the 10th Amendment.
Right.
So we have the separation between state and federal government, and if we are always owing Washington, then we're in debt as a state. And that's why we are live free or die. We want to be free from debt from the federal government.
Right.
And that's what I believe a lot of our Republican politicians are trying to do, is get it right back into our state so we don't own the Washington,
Right.
D.C., those things that they, the money that they send here for whatever purpose.
Yeah.
They want it all to be right here within the budget in New Hampshire.
Right.
And build an economy in New Hampshire.
It's a tricky thing, though, because
course
if
it
you
is.
say no to that money, then voters will say, well, why'd you say no to that money?
Yeah.
That money could have, for this project or that project, that would have created jobs in a tough economy. The system is so broken. It's full of all these catch-22s, you know?
Right.
Because you're right. The state shouldn't have to owe the federal government money, but then if you say no to that money, you're kind of screwed.
But I think that if the voter really fully comprehends that we are a republic, okay, we're supposed to be a republic, but we're going into democracy all the time, and if the viewers that are watching this, if they can understand that the Republicans are not meaning to be mean and nasty
Right.
and cut funds off, what they're trying to do is get it so our state runs on its own. So if we don't want to have, I think a helmet law is starting to come through again.
Oh, really?
And I'll be talking about that.
Yeah.
We are the live free or die state.
Absolutely.
Period. And so if the Republicans can do what I believe a lot of them are trying to do, is get it right down to our state, which will take years, understood. But that's why it's so important that we don't owe the federal government, because then we're owned by them.
Right.
And that's the difference, and that's what the 10th Amendment is about.
Yeah.
And that's getting forgotten.
Right.
Those important amendments.
Yeah.
So, anyway, so we're going to have him on in
Okay.
about 5 weeks. He'll probably
Great.
he'll call in. I think he moved to like Minnesota or Minneapolis. I'm not really sure.
Oh, we
So-
finally have a call.
Oh, go ahead. Hey, welcome to the Maher Report. Hello.
Don't be shy. This is your time to shine.
646.
Okay.
No, all right.
That was informative and enlightening. Thank you, caller.
Thank you, caller, very much. Maybe they were calling to, yell or something. I don't know.
Maybe.
You never know. Like, I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's what I think, that if the viewers, what I'm going to be doing in all my shows is speaking in layman's terms, so that the viewers, people that may be independent, I know so many people that don't vote because why the hell should they? That's how they feel. They're angry at everything and everyone.
Right.
But if they don't stand up and say, you know what, you're right, I don't want to be owned by the government, then possibly maybe we can have some people that will turn out of the voting polls and say, this is who I'm voting for, and understand that we're a republic. If we don't like a policy that a politician's putting through, out they go.
But most people don't even know that.
I know they
Most
don't.
people have no idea what the difference is between a republic and a democracy and a constitutional republic. They have no idea.
They don't. So that's why, for me, doing this show is so important, because I've seen firsthand, over and over and over again, how the system works. And I'm fed up.
Yeah.
And so I'm using my First Amendment right to sit right here, talk to you, bring in guests, and talk about all of these things that are government intrusion, and that is not how the Constitution was set up in the first place, is to be bombarded with government intrusion and
Right.
having lights at every stop cameras
Cameras,
at
yeah.
every stop, and it's like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I don't even think I have navigation on here.
Really?
Because,
Yeah.
no, why would I? Why? Anybody could, because of that, it
Well,
goes
you
right
pro-
up to satellite, and they can see exactly where you're at all times.
Well,
I have a problem with that.
That's probably in your phone anyway.
It probably is, but do you see what I'm saying, though, Matt? It just
They all
feels like
have it
it's.
now, yeah.
I probably feel like there's this conspiracy,
Oh,
but
yeah.
at the same time, I don't want anyone. It's none of their
If
business.
they want to find you, they'll find you.
Oh, they will. I know. Those U.S. Marshals are tough. I know. So it's my opinion. All right. So I wrote down a bunch of stuff that I wanted to talk about today. Oh, 2000 Obamacare, and I think it was just going over the emergency assistance program.
Oh,
we
maybe this
go.
is
Maybe
our
this is the
shy caller
person.
from earlier.
Hi, welcome to the Maher Report.
Regarding Catch-22s in the system, I thought you might find this somewhat interesting. I was in college and I was disabled and permanently disabled. I had to leave college and I didn't have any income for a few years. Eventually I was able to begin collecting disability. However, I wasn't making any payments on my student loan. Eventually, and I certainly owe the money for my student loan. This was quite a while ago, and the sum was that I had borrowed for my student loan was $2,000. Over time, my student loan accrued interest because I wasn't paying, so it was up to $12,000.
Okay.
It went from 2 to 12?
From 2 to 12.
Yeah.
Because of the interest.
That's harsh.
Yes, because of the interest. But what's terribly strange about the whole thing is that I have my disability money directly deposited into the bank every month, but the education and Treasury decided they would take the money for the student loan out. So I receive approximately $240 a month to live on for my disability, and all the rest is going to the student loan.
Yeah, they won't let you default on it.
Okay, let me ask you a question, caller.
No, I understand that. I understand that, and I realize I owe the money on the student loan. I don't expect I should have to pay for it. But it's just sort of like, they're giving me this money, and they're paying themselves back, which they're entitled to that money, but I'm not really being held responsible for any of it now.
Let me ask you a question. What did you
Sure.
do? What did you do for work while you were waiting for your disability?
I did various things. Anytime I could find a job, I did that. At that time, I did word processing for quite a while.
And you
A
can't
while ago.
find a job where you're doing word processing from home? Is
I
that
haven't been able to find any work whatsoever.
okay? All right. Well, you might want to think about ways that you can make money, like blogging or voicing your opinion about policies, stuff like that. This is what America's about. You don't have to sit back and just say, "Oh, I get $200 a month." I don't know where you're living, but most rents are way more than $200 a month rent. Do you know what I'm saying?
I absolutely understand that.
So you might want to
Go ahead.
You just might want to think about ways that you can get off the system. I mean, I don't know what your disability is. I don't need to know. But anybody, I'm telling you that Beethoven was deaf, and the man made the most incredible music ever. So I can't, I really don't have compassion for people that say I'm disabled and I can't work. It doesn't work for me. So.
I lost both my legs in an accident.
Okay, well, that's, I understood. But you could be going out and teaching people about being a paraplegic or whatever. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things that you could do, sir. I mean, this is what America's about. You're obviously in a wheelchair. God bless you, but you could be that one of those people that speaks out and says, even though I'm in a wheelchair, I am still successful.
Right.
Do you see what I'm saying?
I absolutely see what you're saying. It's very difficult, however.
Of course it is.
If you don't even have enough money to own a computer, and you take public transit, and they cut the bus system line down because the economy is in such a shape, it's not as easy as I think you'd like to believe.
No, I know it's not easy. Believe me, I do know. But thank you so much. But think about it and keep watching the show, and maybe there'll be some ideas for you that will come along, okay? Because I'm all about positive thinking and making changes in our state, okay?
Right, absolutely.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks, Dave.
Did you know him? Has he called him before?
No, he's called before. I think he called us last week, actually.
Oh, was that him that was the one who had
I think he called last
bus
week or
driver?
the week before. No, I might be wrong. He's called the show with Norm before, though, so
Okay.
I recognize him.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so real quick, emergency assistance can be for eligible families, and again, that's where we get to it, eligible families, homelessness, termination of a utility, lack of heat and hot water, and that's when you go to the town welfare office.
Yeah.
Normally, you don't necessarily go right to the state welfare offices, and I think that the Salem district office closed.
Okay.
I heard that, so I'm pretty sure with the budget cuts, the Salem district office closed, so now we have Manchester, Nashua, and I think Seacoast. Not positive on that, and I may get, some other information, but Salem did close.
Oh, okay.
So, so again, we talked about non-citizens, proofs you will need, age and identity, income, New Hampshire residency. Of course, if you're not, if you're illegal, you don't have to have that, which I hope that Republicans are listening and are hopefully going to speak out and start making changes in our social networks instead of just on the budget and those kinds of issues. The Republicans need to start saying what they're going to do to help those that are on assistance to help get them off. So I hope to hear from those legislators so we can move forward with the campaigning that's going to be happening over the next couple, 18 months.
Yeah.
We have a presidential campaign that's going to be happening. So
Oh, yeah.
let's hear what you got to say. Start talking about it.
Right.
So after receiving your application, we will make a decision on your eligibility for benefits as quickly as possible, but it can take up to 15 days for emergency assistance, 30 days for food stamps, 45 days for FANF, that would be the money,
Okay.
and 90 days for Medicaid, APTD, and MEAD. Once a decision is made, you will get the notice of how you will get it, obviously put right into your account, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So, and then of course we can get into food stamps. We talked about this a lot last week. People that are dishonest. I'd like to know where the task force is to stop welfare fraud, because it is a big problem, and we are funding people to break laws. Most people that are in jails and prisons have been on the system, so clearly it's not working.
Right.
So when we talk about it takes a village, it takes a person to stand up and say, I'm going to do better.
Right.
I'm not going to be put down, brought down. I'm going to work hard and make it for myself and my family.
Right.
My children, my mother, whoever.
Yeah.
Whoever your family is, just do
Exactly.
it. So, looks like we got a couple more minutes, Matt. You want to close with anything in particular, or?
What do you think? Casey Anthony, did she do it?
You want me to tell you what I really think?
Yeah, I do.
I'll tell you what I
I'm curious.
think. I think that, yes, she did.
I agree.
My opinion is she did it. I think that her mom and dad are in on this defense, whatever you want to call it, defense.
I think Cindy Anthony should be tried for perjury.
So do I.
Good.
But I think that the mother and father knew exactly what they were doing when they got up there and lied on the stand.
yeah.
They are putting out a statement saying what Casey Anthony, her defense was, how awful it was. I believe that they were in on it, and in a few months you're going to see them all back together saying they're sorry and forgiveness now that their daughter got off.
Yeah.
I believe that the mother is narcissistic.
Oh, yeah?
And put
I think
so
she's
much.
She's a sociopath.
Yeah, and she put so much on that Casey, and it all, and I don't believe that the father hurt that girl.
Right.
I don't believe the father hurt the baby girl.
Right.
I think it's all bullcrap.
Yeah.
I think it was all part of how they were going to do their defense. You lie, no one will even know who did it.
Right.
And we're just going to take it off everywhere. She got off. She'll get out of jail in a few months. They'll all be back together.
Yeah.
Saying they're sorry.
Oh, she might be out of jail Thursday.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
the Casey family
Oh, I
will
see what
write
you
a
mean, yeah.
book, write
Yeah.
a book,
Oh, yeah.
and make millions and billions of dollars.
They're already talking about who's going to play her in the movie.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Winona Ryder.
That was one name I heard, yep. Or Kristen Stewart, or what's her name? Megan Fox.
Yeah.
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 It's terrible.
So it is terrible. So, again, You can see this show live Wednesdays at 6 p.m. You can see it replayed Fridays at
I don't have it all
at
memorized. Is it
1.
one?
Sorry, at 1. Hold on 1 second. I got it written down here.
They are on the, if you go to manchestertv.org, it does have all the times for all the shows.
It does
on
have
there
all the
too,
times. Yeah,
so,
I've got it
yeah.
here, written here. Sorry about that. Okay, yeah, we are Friday at 1, Sunday at 6 p.m., Monday morning at 8 a.m., and Tuesday at 2:30 p.m. Also up on ipmnation.com. You can find us. And I am on Facebook if you need to find me there. If you want to talk to me and tell me anything that's going on that you want to talk about, please inbox me. Let me know. I get a lot of inboxes with stories and people, what they're going through, and I'm happy to do research or do whatever I can to help you out. So just find me out there. My email, of course, you can find me on my email too, cherylamar@gmail.com. So my blogs will be going up soon, my site. You know, it's just like you said,
Good.
it's a slow
Yeah.
process. We're
Yeah.
getting everything moving just the way we're supposed to, and we're going to keep talking.
Yeah, excellent.
So,
Excellent.
Thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, as
Yeah.
always. Yeah.
Yep, no problem. So, I think we're, I don't know, do we have a next show coming in or what, guys?
Yeah, they're here.
Are they
they are
here?
here. Who is it?
Okay.
Progress report.
Progress Report.
Progress
Stick
Report.
around for Progress Report on TV23.
Who is Progress Report?
I don't know.
Stay tuned to find out.
Stay tuned to find out.
Stay tuned to find out who is on the Progress Report. But thank you, viewers, for listening and watching, and we will see you next week, and we're going to talk about education, and we're going to go into the IEP process, disability, we're going to go into our whatever's going on in New Hampshire, curriculum, all that stuff. We're going to talk about that for a couple weeks.
All right.
So
Sounds good.
looking forward to that. Thank you, and have a good night.